Our first guest speaker is Bruce Ramsay. Bruce. Affectionately known as Bruce was one of the most popular players during the Griffiths' tenure in the International Hockey League. Bruce is in his second year as assistant coach with the Griffins. Prior to rejoining the Griffins, Bruce spent 6 seasons as head coach of the Tulsa Oilers of the ECHL and Central Hockey League, compiling a 185, 180, 35 record in 400 regular season games from 2009 to 2015. Bruce played his minor hockey in Dryden and his junior hockey in Thunder Bay and Vernon, BC. He played professional hockey in the AHL, the IHL, the UHL, and CHL for over 10 years. Bruce's stats demonstrate that he was a role player. And I have to say, I Googled Rammer the Hammer, because that's what he was affectionately known as at one point in time. And I got Rammer Hammers, which is a contracting tool. I got Chef Gordon Ramsay. I've never seen the show, but okay. And Dave the Hammer Schultz, along with Bruce Ramsay. Bruce transitioned from role player very nicely into coaching in the AHL, which he continues to do today. And I have to be honest, when I thought of Rammer the Hammer as coach, I had the image of Jim Playfair in my head. Now, for those of you who have seen the episode, I bet you might have had one or two of those, Bruce, maybe. But in all seriousness, coaching in the AHL requires good knowledge, not only of the game, but also the skills to motivate and lead your players. Bruce is currently an assistant coach with the Grand Rapids Griffins of the American Hockey League, and he's been in the American Hockey League as a coach for quite some time. I know he has aspirations to continue, and I am absolutely certain he will continue and aspire to greater things. Please join me in welcoming Bruce to the podium.
All right, what do we have here? All right, good evening, everybody. I got some cheat sheets here. In my career, I had over 5,000 penalty minutes, 400 fights. I think if anybody could be allowed to have some cheat sheets, it should be me. So, here they are. Sorry, Chris, Sean. Just quickly, I just really want to thank Marty Oliphant and the Dream Team for doing such a great job of putting this all together, and just all the work they're doing for such a great cause. That, trying to fix the rink and get it back to where it needs to be. From my understanding, that the number of people playing now is growing exponentially, and with girls hockey, adding to that, there's a need for ice, there's a need for better dressing rooms, and obviously us guys here are here to help and do whatever we can to make sure that happens. So let's give them a cheers for a great job doing Melbourne. Just to all my fellow hockey players that are here, congrats on great careers. The guys I'm sitting with here right now, Chris and Sean, just like Jack was talking about, Sean, played 260 games in the NHL and had a great career in the minor leagues. Hey, I've been trying to get in the NHL for 30 years, so just to play one game, man, he's played 260, had a great career, had a great book. I read that a couple of weeks ago, and it took me 2 days. I flew through it. It was amazing the amount of people that were in there that I've been associated with throughout my career, so congratulations on a great career, Sean. Now, as Jack said, I'm a coach in the American Hockey League, so when you look at the number of players in the NHL, 90% of those players at some point in their career played in the American Hockey League, so it's obviously a great feeder system. There's 10%, very few, elite players that go right from the respective junior or college teams and go right to the NHL and play their whole career there. Enough said about Chris Pronger's career. We all know what he's done. He's an elite player. Great job, Chris. All right, now to talk about myself a little bit. I guess I got to combine 30 years here in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to talk like that, the auctioneer here, and get this through quick. But I played 3 years of Tier 2 junior. Just go through this real quick. 11 years professionally, where like I said, I racked up around 5,000 penalty minutes and a lot of majors. But I could play the game. Don't just take that for granted that I had all those minutes. But I did like to fight, and I knew where my strengths were. So, as a coach, I've been coaching for 15 years, 11 years as a head coach, and 4 years as an assistant. And I think about this. When did this all start? Obviously, it started in this great town of Dryden, Ontario. I remember waking up one morning and getting woken up by my mom, and my sister Coco was right here. And my mom goes to me, Brucey, you don't have to go to the rink today. The rink is burnt down. We all remember when the rink burned down. We had those early morning practices. There's my sister Coco going, yeah, Brucey, you don't have to go to the rink today. The rink burnt down. And I looked at them. I was amazed. I just could not believe it. And I said, how am I supposed to become a legendary minor pro hockey league fighter with a name like Brucey? Smart enough. So anyways, that led to the great Dryden Stadium series, because we had no rink to play in. So Pronger Rink, Milestone, North Dryden, they're all available. There was packed houses there. I remember my first game. It was beautiful, it was crisp, it was cold. I scored 4 goals that game. It was the first time I ever did that. The last time too, but who's counting? But it was great. I got back to the bench, and it was pretty damn cold out that night, though, I gotta admit. And I needed a little drink, though, because I had a really hard shift. I reached for the water bottle, and it was frozen. I was like, oh my goodness. Went home that night, soaked my feet in cold water for an hour, and was like, okay, let's get this darn rink built here pretty shortly. But yeah, it was fun here. But they did get the rink built. And then after the rink build, it kind of moved on to travel hockey. So I just want to bring up some names, because the group of players I played with, there was always that one age group. You know, your son might be in 04 or 03. So there's that group you guys stay with your whole career. I know that, Sean, I read your book, and yours was known as the Wolf Pack, is that right? My group was more like a herd of wild beasts. I think of the names, Trevor Salo. We had Mr. Zilkins, Gooner Zilkins. I think that nickname might have been better fit on somebody else, but you know, he was the Gooner. Scott Sanakovich got the nickname Kopochinski because our coach couldn't spell or pronounce his last name. Mike Knapp and Tom Berganini, Mark Booch Relini. I don't know where he got that name from, but we'll let that go. Rick Tanner, you know, Brian Knaus, who's here tonight. I got a chance to talk to him. Great guys, a little crazy, but you know, great guys to play with. Some of my coaches, Peter Zilkins, he was a tough man. He was a scary guy to play for. His son's here tonight, Mike Ray Lalonde. He coached me and enjoyed my time with him. Nick Chassaway, Larry Wyra, John McKenzie, Mike Furlong was here tonight, Vic Kamita, Clyde Toole, and there's probably some names that I missed, but these were all great coaches that had a big influence in my career, and I just wanted to give them a round of applause for all the time they had. So just maybe a little couple stories here. We were hard on coaches. I remember one trip, Nick Chassaway, I don't even know if he still figured this one out, but me and Trevor Salo drove with him to a tournament. After the tournament was over, he gave Trevor the keys and he said, Trevor, go out and start the car. I was like, okay, so me and Trevor go out and start the car to get it warm, and Trevor's in the front seat and I'm in the back. All of a sudden he starts putting it in reverse, driving a little bit, drive, and he's driving back and forth. I'm like, hey, that looks awesome. This is a scene from Tommy Boy, I'm telling you. I jump out of the back seat and I go and grab the door and I open it just as he's going in reverse, and he backs into something and you can hear the door just go crunch. We're like, oh no. I push the door shut, try and get it shut as good as I can. He jumps in the passenger seat and I'm in the back seat. All of a sudden Nick starts walking out and he comes up and he goes to grab the door and it almost falls off, and we're both like, what happened to the door? And I still think to this day he didn't figure that out. Then there was a time when they got the hockey van. You know, who here remember the DMHA hockey van that we used to travel in? Man, I'm getting old, I guess, but we had this van that used to take us on trips, so there'd be like 10 players. I specifically remember my bantam years with Larry Wyrot and John McKenzie. They were two great guys, two great coaches, and you know, as soon as we hit the highway, it was on. Wrestling matches, everybody against everybody, it was crazy. Coaches were cheering guys on, but yeah, good old Wayne Gooner Zilkins, he was always on the bottom of the pile. I always remember him on the bottom, arms in the air, yelling for help, and there was John McKenzie saying, "Attaboy, Gooner, you're doing a great job." Larry Wyrot would be over there going, "Gooner, you got him right where they want him. You're doing great." And he'd be down there yelling for help, and we'd all be pounding on him. Poor Gooner, he took a beating. So, but then we got into hitting. I think about my time. It's a funny story because it was your dad that was coaching the team at the time. My first year, and I found out what hitting was all about. I was all excited to get in there. My first shift on the ice, I seen a guy skating with his head down. And some guys might remember this player. His name was Ronnie the Train Malin. Probably not the right guy to try and hit open ice. And I did. I flew back about 15 feet, laid on the ice. My wind was knocked out. I got to the bench and I sat down, and your dad came over and said, "Bruce, are you okay?" I looked at him and I said, I had a big smile on my face. I said, "This is for me." But you know what? I didn't really know what junior hockey was until I went to a game when I think I was 16 years old at the Dry Ice Arena. It was between a Thunder Bay team and Winnipeg, I think Thunder Bay Hornets and a Winnipeg team, and they combined together. And I was watching that game and thinking, well, this might be something interesting that I might want to try and do as a career later on, maybe try out for a junior team. Then all of a sudden, there was a bench clearing brawl. Both benches cleared, there's sticks laying everywhere, and there were fights all over the place. And I looked at myself and I thought to myself, I can do this. And I did, trust me, I did, throughout my career. So all in all, I just enjoyed my time growing up here. It's such a special place. You know, I lived here in the summers, even though I was playing pro hockey in other cities till I was 26 years old, and I can't say enough about Dryden, Ontario. And I'm so proud to be able to see a lot of people that I grew up with here and haven't seen in a number of years, and the work that you guys are doing to try to make it better. It's awesome. I'm not done yet. I'll try and go a little quicker. I got 30 years to combine here, guys. So, but from Dryden, I actually tried out the OHL 3 different seasons. Got cut 3 different times when I was 17, 18, and 19 years old. I did get cut from the Thunder Bay Flyers once. And then my second year I tried out. What was awesome about this Thunder Bay Flyers team, it was all kids from northwestern Ontario. And what they did in Thunder Bay, instead of having 2 junior teams, they combined both to put the best kids on the ice. And we played in the USHL, which we all know is it's a premier Tier 1 hockey league in the United States. And ended up playing there for 2 years. The first year we won the regular season, we won the playoffs, had a great team with all NWO kids. And the second year, you know what? We did the same thing. Won the league, and then won the playoff championship, and then proceeded to go to the Royal Bank Cup, because at that time we were allowed to play after the USHL and further ourselves to try and compete for the Royal Bank Cup, which everybody knows here with the Dry Ice Dogs is a pretty impressive trophy to win, and we ended up winning it that year too. So great time at Thunder Bay. Dave Siciliano is my coach, along with Sean Donahue, who has some connections here in Dryden as well. 2 great guys. From there, I proceeded out to Vernon, BC, where I played on a very good hockey club, and we ended up winning the Royal Bank Cup out there. So my junior career was pretty promising. I was like, hey, this is great. I've won 2 USHL titles, 2 Royal Bank Cup titles. It's time for me to retire. So it's time to go to school. So I ended up going to school in Thunder Bay, Ontario. I decided I'm not going to play hockey anymore. I want to get my education. I've had a great time with it, but the real world is waiting for me. Then I got a call one night from a guy by the name of Gary Cook. I'm not sure if anybody here knows Cookie, but he was a manager and general manager of all the pro teams and Thunder Bay Twin teams back in the day. And he said, Rammer, I want you to come play for the Thunder Bay Twins. I was like, I'm kind of retired, but I'm going to school. You know, what can you do for me? He said, well, Bruce, you know, financially, you know what we'll do is we're going to give you $700. We're going to give you $350 at Christmas and $350 at the end of the year. I said, you know what? That's 2 great bar nights. I'm in. Let's do this. So I actually had a pretty good team that year, and I've been in a lot of fights, so I got to tell a couple quick fight stories here. This one kind of involves my dad, but had a very good team that year. Went to the Allen Cup Finals in Prince Edward Island, Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and we had won the Western Championships, the Centrals, to get out there. And back then, senior hockey was pretty big. There wasn't a lot of pro hockey going on. And very first game, when we got there, we heard it before the game about this one player they had. He shaved his visor down and had it all sharpened, so if you got in a fight with him and we're good? Yeah, we're good. If you got in a fight with him and you punched him, you cut your hands open and stuff like that. And couldn't play the game, but this guy was really tough. So my second shift of the first game of the Allen Cup Finals, he struck me right in the eye. And I got stitches above and below. It was black, it was blue, it was pretty disgusting. It almost took my eye out. So I had to go in the dressing room and get stitches and everything else. I was really mad. So my dad was at this game because he was living in the East Coast at the time and hadn't watched me play in 3 or 4 years. And my sister actually was there too, my younger sister, Patty. They were watching the game. When I got back in the second period, I was like, I was mad. Somebody was going to pay for what they did. Well, that damn guy that hit me never got to shift the rest of the game. So I had to go after somebody else. And there was one other player on their team, and I think Chris and Sean will both know this guy. His name was Jerry Fleming. Jerry Fleming was 6'6", 250 pounds. I was about 6 foot, 175, but I was mad, so I said, all right, it's time to dance, let's do this. And I got to be along the bench, and my dad was watching, he told me the story after, and this big Jer just kind of manhandled me, pulled me over the bench. And my dad said, I had to close my eyes. I was planning a funeral. I thought it was over. And then all of a sudden he said he heard the crowd cheering and things were changing. And he opened his eyes, and there I was throwing punches as mad as I could, standing on my own 2 feet, and we had one of the best fights you could ever imagine against a guy that was about 60, 70 pounds heavier than me. So that's one of my fight stories. I had to bring it out. All right, I want to go through this pretty quick here. I say, when you get about 400, you got to throw a couple of those out there. Funny thing is, so the senior team folds next year. They start up this new league called the Colonial Hockey League. It's a pro hockey league. I'm like, okay, same ownership group. They're putting this team together. It's a 5-team league. I'm going to try out. They wanted me to try out and play for them. So I got my first contract. It was $225 a week. I was amazed. I was like, all right. That's a lot more than 2 good bar nights, I'll tell you that. So, played that whole season and actually ended up playing at Thunder Bay for 5 years while I was going to university. And I want you to know that I did complete my university. I got a mathematics degree, and I've used that my whole life, basically to add up all the penalty minutes I accrued throughout my career. So, but I did get it, and I still haven't used it, but had some real good success there. We won 3 Colonial Cups with that team, and I got called up a couple times to the American Hockey League later on in my 4th and 5th season, so I got a sniff of what it was like to play at a higher level, where Chris and Sean both were. And I remember when I got my opportunity to play full-time, it was actually after a long road trip in my 6th season. I was the player assistant coach of the Thunder Bay Thundercats at that time. We went through 3 different name changes, but I got a call from Davey Allison in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we just come off a 12-hour bus ride, and when you're on a bus, you got to pass the time away, so having a couple beers here and there does occur, as some guys will know, and I probably over-exceeded my limit that day, but when I talked to Davey Allison, he was talking about calling me up and everything else, and I was like, I thought I remember saying, oh, I'm not sure if I really want to go. I get to the rink the next morning, I get a call from their trainer asking me what kind of gear I want, and what my flight's ready, here's your flight information. I was like, I didn't even say I was going yet, but I guess, well, then the trainer said, well, you know what, let my GM call you. GM calls me back, and I decided, okay, this is a life-changing moment for me. I'm going, I'm in. So I fly to Quebec City. I played my first game there in front of 15,000 people. It was awesome. And right off the bat, I got in a fight with a guy by the name of Serge Roberge. And if you don't know about the old IHL back then, but Sean knows, there were some real tough guys in that league. A lot of ex-NHLers that just couldn't quite play in the NHL. And I got put in the heavyweight class right away. I didn't want to be there, but I was put there. But it was such a good decision. One thing I can tell you is I flew into Grand Rapids at 11 o'clock at night. The next night we played, and I got in a fight again. My tooth got knocked in, but we all went to the bar, and I had the great opportunity to meet my future wife for the first time, and met her that night. We've been together ever since, so obviously it was a great decision. And one funny thing I do got to tell is I used to fight a lot, so I collect the videos. I do have a lot of these videos on tape, and there's one video that talks about me specifically, because I just got a fight in the penalty box, and the one radio announcer from Indianapolis goes, "Well, it says here that Bruce Ramsay was a player assistant coach last year for the Thunder Bay Thundercats," and the color commentator says, "Well, I wonder how many games he coached from the penalty box, because I had 400 penalty minutes the year before." Probably quite a few. Very unfortunately, it was such a good decision for me though, because that first year I actually had a pretty good season for what I do, and signed my first NHL contract at 27 years old. And the great news about that was my contract was with the St. Louis Blues, and me and Chris ended up playing on the same team throughout training camp. I played 4 scrimmages in training camp. I was all excited. Had 4 fights against some pretty tough guys, as Chris will know. Then I walked in the locker room one day, and there was the yellow card. Damn. I guess I'm getting cut. Go see Joe Quenneville. He said 3 words to me: "See you later." And then that was the end of that. So. But yeah, and then my career, played on a bunch of different double-A minor league teams after that, and retired when I was 32 years old in Muskegon after we won a championship. It was an awesome experience, and I was like, you know what, this is the time to retire with another championship. So which gets me to my coaching. I want to go through this short because I've been up here long enough. We're just going to talk after I retired. It's very hard. Every player that retires from professional hockey, or the majority of them, besides Sean probably, always talks, what are you going to do after you're done? Well, I want to coach. So if every player that retired wanted to coach, there'd be no coaching job. So it's hard to get in there. Basically, I begged, borrowed, and stealed the year after I retired to get a coaching job in the Atlantic Coast Hockey League with the St. Petersburg Parrots. Our motto was, we did everything better twice, St. Pete Parrots. But so an interesting year. I just want to go through it real quick. I get this job in the ACHL, now the SPHL. It's basically single A hockey. I go down there, it's beautiful. The rink's right on the ocean. During training camp, I'm watching dolphins swimming around. First game is a great game. We have about 1,100 people. I'm all excited. Second game, we have 100. I'm like, ooh, this is not good for pro hockey. Dollar signs are not there. We play another 3 weeks at that rink. We did not do very well attendance-wise. Off ice, it was great. We had a lot of fun, but in the middle of the night, after the Zamboni broke down, my owner called me up and said, "Bruce, we got 3 U-Haul vans. We're breaking into the rink and we're moving to Winston-Salem, North Carolina." I'm like, what? It's my first coaching job. I guess this is what we got to do. So we moved a whole professional hockey team from St. Pete to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I was there for about a month. Just started getting settled in. Things were great, and then they fired a coach in the UHL in Port Huron, Michigan, and they hired me. So I think I might be the only coach ever that coached in 3 different cities in 1 year and never got fired. It was pretty interesting. But I've been a coach for 15 years, 11 as a head coach, 4 as an assistant. I had the pleasure this year working with some great coaches and players. We're part of the Detroit Red Wings. We're their AAA affiliate, so it was awesome to be able to get that opportunity this year to see players and tell them that they're going to play in the NHL for the first time, and just the skill and the dedication that these players have. They know they have to be good, because if they stay in the American League for a number of years, they're missing out on all that money in the NHL level. But these kids are very dedicated, and with the look in their eyes when you see that, it's incredible. We had the opportunity this year to win the Calder Cup, which was extra special, and I was very proud of the team that I was with and the group that I was with. So. Well, I've been up here long enough. Just want to thank everybody. It's such a great turnout. I'm so happy to be home and see so many faces. And make sure you come up and find me after and buy me a beer. I'd love it. It'd be great. Thank you.